Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm your host, Hilary Hutchison, and today's guest brings a powerful message of healing, resilience, and transformation, rooted in both personal experience and deep professional expertise. Joanna Maria Hinz is a certified holistic health coach, regenerative detoxification specialist, and clinical iridologist, trained under the world-renowned healer, Dr. Robert Morse. Joanna helps clients heal from the inside out, supporting deep detoxification on a cellular level and guiding them towards supreme health and transformational life change. Her work goes beyond just physical healing. She empowers people to reconnect with their mind, body, and spirit. Joanna, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share a bit of my journey with you all today.
I'm really excited about this conversation. So let's talk about your background a bit. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in the UAE?
Sure. So I first came to the UAE. That was in the year 2008. This was during my economic studies for an internship abroad in the hospitality sector, really. And at that time, Dubai just felt like the right place, especially in the hospitality industry. You have fast-moving environment. It's super international. And the UAE was back then and still is a real hub for hospitality and business. I ended up staying in the corporate world for several years, working in various high-performance environments where really efficiency and results were everything. So I was in the right time at the right place, really, in Dubai especially. It was very intense, it was exciting, and it really taught me how dynamic global business can be. And even though I've moved back to Germany a few years ago, the UAE will always be a big part of my story. And being there gave me a real front row seat to what it takes to thrive in a fast-paced international environment. And it's really shaped me how I approach work and hospitality till this day.
And just for clarity, so you had come from Germany to the UAE.
Correct.
And I love that you came to do an internship because that really opened your eyes to a whole different world, a whole different way of doing things, away from what you knew in Germany. I think all young people should do internships to try out different things. I think it's excellent.
Exactly. So actually ended up in Ajman in the beginning, which was very interesting, right? As a young woman who is so eager to explore the world. Ajman was very interesting in the beginning and then moved to Dubai. And it was just a mind-blowing experience overall, really.
So let's talk about the transition then. As you mentioned, you started out in hospitality and then in the corporate world for several years with all the pressures that go along with that. Then there was a transition into the health space, into the healing space. Can you tell us how that came about?
I was bedridden for a couple of years, really, later on, due to a chronic illness, which I had. And really, overnight, my world became very small and everything stood kind of still. Everything was on hold that I was working very hard on in a very ambitious environment like Dubai. It wasn't really accessible for me anymore, suffering a lot and physically, and it was just not possible anymore to partake in the everyday life, to function properly. I was passed from specialist to specialist, giving diagnosis that just treated symptoms really in isolation. And I was being offered short-term solutions and nothing in terms of root cause has been ever addressed. I followed rules and did what, I was told, and yet my health continued to decline. And what sparked my turn towards natural healing and regenerative healing was a simple moment of clarity. I realized that my body wasn't broken. It was just communicating to me. Really, on a daily basis, I was trying to read my body and see what was it trying to tell me. Once I understood that this illness could be an adaptive response rather than a failure, I wasn't broken. My body was just responding to stresses, etc. Everything shifted kind of during that time. And then I began to study cellular regeneration, detoxification, and how the nervous system, nutrition part of things, sleep patterns, etc., and unresolved stress interact at a biological level. Healing became less about fixing and more about restoring safety in my body. Rhythm and trust in the body is what really then sparked the moment further to have a deeper understanding of what was really going on with me.
What an experience to go through. And I think this is not that uncommon for people to go through many years of suffering from a condition and not being able to find the root cause. But what I liked about you is you said the body was actually communicating in its own way, but you were just not reading the signals correctly, not understanding what the body was trying to tell you. But also very scary for you to be such an ambitious person, so much going on, doing a lot of things, being so successful, and then almost overnight to go to a standstill where it all just shut down and said no more. Now, wow, what an experience to go through, and very scary, I am sure, in the very beginning stages.
Absolutely. You just wake up and your functionality is completely impaired. You can barely move. You can barely do the basic tasks. So everything that you have established for yourself over the years just didn't really mean anything anymore because it was not accessible anymore. That life which I had before was no more. There was a life before chronic illness and then there was a life after. And it's just so interesting how everything just falls into place. And even suffering brings, a new life that is waiting ahead of you.
A new learning as well. So this, of course, leads to the introduction of Dr. Robert Morse and his teachings. How did you discover him and his teachings, and what impact did that have on your journey?
One of my lowest points, really, or moments back then where I really couldn't bear the suffering anymore and no one could give me answers. And I was just running around from a health practitioner to health practitioner, from a different approach, one approach to a different approach. I really asked for the divine, for guidance. Just guide me, just help me, because there has to be something. What is the missing link here? That was actually during a search online, one of my multiple searches and endless searches, finding answers or trying to find answers. I came across Dr. Robert Morse, and I remember this as if it was today itself, and it's so many years ago. And I remember how his words resonated and what his message resonated with me instantly. So, I had already tried every conventional option out there, but no one had ever spoken to me about the lymphatic system or how the body works as an interconnected whole, like it's one. So what struck me really immediately was the simplicity and his clarity and the focus on detoxification, lymphatic flow, and the idea that the body is always moving towards the right direction, towards healing. And when the conditions are right, we just need to give the body the right condition. So for the first time, chronic illness made sense in a way that actually matched my lived experience. So his work gave me language, gave me structure, and intuitively I knew that this is something where I want to start digging deeper.
Perfect. One thing I'm sure the audience is sitting there thinking, and if you don't want to answer this, it's fine, but you mentioned chronic disease is something that came overnight. What was it? Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Since I was a child, I used to have skin issues and metabolic issues. Over time, during various periods in my life, it got worse, or sometimes it was just getting better again without having any rhyme or rhythm. There was no understanding of what's going on. Why is there such a flare right now going on? And one of the longest flares, and that was 3 years really, was when I had one of my moments where I started to dig deeper into finding answers. I used to always have eczema, but it was better at times and then worse at times. But my longest flare was 3 years, and that's why I said enough is enough. I need to take back control of my own life and not really depend on outside sources and not be in control at all over your own body. It's just doing what it feels like, and you're just suffering and suffering, and nobody's able to help. Nobody's able to give you any answers. Everyone has just suggestions, and it was insane, really.
So, what were some of the protocols and modalities that you learned through Dr. Morse that you were able to then apply to your own healing?
One of the major parts was the healing on a cellular level, regeneration on a cellular level and intracellular level. This is where the real detoxification actually comes in, when you eliminate all the aspects of your life that sabotage your body, and you create an environment in your body that is healing and that is clean, and how we were actually designed to live, how we were designed by the creator, right? So when you allow the body to regenerate, then you eliminate also all the toxins and toxicants, everything that accumulates in the body, and you just start to regenerate all your organs and all your systems. And that's by means of nutrition, that's by means of optimizing your sleep, that's by means of herbal protocols, that's the herbs that are out there for us humans, right? They are here for a reason. And just going back to life where our bodies are in sync with nature and nature's rhythms.
Well, I love that. So, what I'm hearing you saying is that our bodies have what it takes to heal us. We just have to create the right environment that allows our bodies to then heal and regenerate. And it's so simple, as we call it simple, to have the right nutrition, sufficient sleep, and then looking at those herbal remedies. I absolutely love that, because I do believe the body is able to heal itself. But as you say, we have to support it in the decisions we make. So what was the turning point for you in your healing process? When did you, or that moment when you realized that your body was truly starting to regenerate?
For me, the actual real turning point came when I started seeing real physical signs of regeneration. Not only on a cellular level, it starts inside, right? When you start to heal and when you create this environment in your body where healing can happen and is happening. But I didn't just feel it inside, and I wasn't just bursting with energy and life force, which was the case, but actually seeing that change. As I've said before, I'd lived with chronic eczema for years, and about 2 to 3 months into the herbal protocols and into cellular regeneration, it started to disappear. My skin was glowing, and all the inflammation on the skin really was just getting better and better with time. And not just temporarily, but genuinely it got resolved. So that mattered to me a lot, because the skin isn't just the skin, it's your largest eliminative organ, right? So when it starts to improve, it usually means something deeper, and it means that deeper systematic shifts are happening. Better lymphatic flow, less inflammation, more efficient cellular cleanup. And from that moment on, I felt I'm back in the driver's seat of my own health. And that was a beautiful moment. And I could read my body, use the tools I'd learned over the years, and navigate stress without constantly relying on healthcare professionals or the latest trends which are out there, which are super confusing to any human being which is actually seeking help. And I focused on the simplest of principles, supporting elimination, regulating the nervous system, staying as much as possible. It's not always possible in today's world, which is so stressful, the lives we are leading, right? But as much as possible, staying in sync with the natural rhythms and caring for cellular integrity. So that shift from dependency to being in your own driver's seat completely changed everything for me.
Yeah, I can imagine it must have been such a huge shift for you and such a relief to find the thing that finally got you out of, as you say, it wasn't just a short period, it was years of suffering. To see that change must have been absolutely remarkable.
Absolutely. And then you realize that health you can actively maintain, not something fragile and completely out of control, right?
And then because you saw the power of what the body can do, if we know how to look after it, you then decided to help other people. So rather than keep that to yourself and then get back into your corporate world, you decided you were going to help others. as well to get onto this path of healing. Today, you're a regenerative detoxification specialist and clinical iridologist. For those who are not familiar with these terms, can you please explain what these practices involve?
Sure. So, as a regenerative detoxification specialist and clinical iridologist, I basically help people to reverse symptoms, to get to the root cause of their suffering, to really dig deep, right? So, also to prevent future imbalances and support the body's natural ability to heal and regenerate. My work really focuses on cellular regeneration and supporting the lymphatic system and opening the pathways of true detoxification. So, creating the conditions for the body to restore itself fully and go back to homeostasis, the true balance of our bodies. And through iridology, I read patterns in the iris to see how the nervous system adapts, how weakened or how strong the organs are, and the overall vitality, also the emotions of that person are visible there. I study the patterns of the eye, and it's super non-invasive, so it's a very safe way to get to the root cause of someone's suffering. Together, these practices provide insights into what the body truly tells us, what it communicates to us.
I love that you say it's not invasive. And as you say, by looking at the eyes, what are the eyes telling you? You actually, again, you're reading what the body's trying to tell you is wrong so that you can take the correct steps to give the body that environment that it needs. What are some of the most common root causes you see in your clients' health conditions, and how do you help them to address those?
This question is very tricky because there is so much that comes together these days in the world we live nowadays. But to summarize, or just to shorten my answer, which would be really long, I would say what I see again and again is that people don't have random symptoms. They have like chronically stressed biology. And what I've learned is that most chronic health challenges don't stem from a single cause. They arise from a combination of aspects, from toxicity overload, environmental overload, emotional aspects, traumas, and physiological stressors. We also experience, or many of my clients experience, mineral deficiencies caused by depleted soils we have nowadays massively, and modern food supply chain issues, sabotaging lifestyles, and a really deep disconnection from nature. And when these factors build up over time, the body just struggles to function optimally. It's really difficult to function optimally, and then symptoms occur. So symptoms aren't really random failures. They are just signs and signals that the system is overwhelmed and trying to protect itself. So by addressing these root causes, supporting detox pathways, and reconnecting with natural rhythms, we can reverse those symptoms or prevent further imbalances and help the body to return to homeostasis.
That makes absolute sense, that it's not just one thing that causes a chronic disease, but it's the combination of all these different things happening that all together then sort of attacks the body and then causes what we're seeing is just the symptom of underlying things, but it's not just one thing that we can point to. You've mentioned it a few times now, and also I mentioned you are a regenerative detoxification specialist. Detox is a popular word today, but it has maybe different meanings to different people. What does true detoxification look like in your practice?
So, yeah, as you rightly say, detox has become such an overused word online. Sometimes, really, it's very frustrating also when I work with people that they are so confused and lost and they are drinking teas a couple of days or just thinking that detox is just about cleaning up. Yes, it is cleaning up, but it goes far deeper than this. It's not just a cleanse. So, in my practice, true detoxification isn't about gimmicks or quick fixes. It doesn't exist. There is no pill which you can take and overnight you get better. There is no one solution for everyone out there. It's a very individual approach, right? It's about supporting the body on a cellular level, giving the system the condition it needs to regenerate and return to balance. A real detox is less about doing something to the body and more about creating the space for your body to do what it actually already knows. And that is the interesting part. It knows what to do: heal, clear, and restore itself. But I'm creating the space alongside with my clients. I'm creating that environment in the body. And of course, it's a very holistic approach. Now, I have to say this as well. We're working with the mind as well, because the body follows the mind. So it's not just on a cellular level, it is literally the body as a whole, which I see in my practice.
I think you've just mentioned something really important there, that your approach incorporates both the mind and the spirit, not just the physical body. Why is that holistic view and approach so important in healing?
So over the years also, that is something which became more and more clear to me. What started with nutritional fixes, etc., then became a holistic approach completely, because healing always starts in the mind and the soul. The body just follows, as I mentioned before. But also when we look into quantum physics shows us that at the smallest level, everything is energy in connection. Your cells aren't isolated, lost somewhere. They respond to your thoughts, your emotion, even the words we speak every day to ourselves. The body listens. The body listens to everything. So when you tell yourself, I'm whole, I'm healing, I'm safe, it isn't just encouragement, but your body, your cells, and your entire energy system literally listens. And then you shift into a space of healing. Your mind and the soul just set the tone, but your body aligns. We are not separate from the universe. We are part of it. And every thought, every intention, every feeling ripples outwards. So shaping our health, our life, and even the reality we experience. So a lot of shift can happen when we start with the mind and the soul.
Yes. So don't just look at physical things in the body, but it's, as you say, the mind, our thoughts, everything is connected and everything can impact our bodies and our health. There is so much information out there about health and wellness, and it's really a topic that is spoken about a lot more these days than ever before. How can people cut through the noise and find what really works for them?
And you rightly just said it. The body already knows, though. I have to say that the body already knows. The noise from outside just drowns it out. That's all really I can say. I tell people always, if a protocol makes you feel anxious or depleted, how many protocols out there make you depleted and make you feel weaker than ever before? It's probably not really regenerative, right? So true healing work feels stabilizing and not fast paced and not urgent. It builds trust in your body and not fear and anxiety or uncertainty of what's going on. It reduces really complexity over time. Ask yourself, what helps my system to feel safer and more alive? And when people return to remembering, I always repeat myself pretty much about the word remembering who we truly are, how we were designed, and what are nature's sacred rhythms, and what is the biological truth, the noise falls away on its own, really. It really is about remembering who we were designed to live and to thrive. So many people forgot how to thrive, they just survive. Yeah, so that's really how I feel is super essential, is to understand the physiological part of things, the biological part of things, who we truly are and how our systems are created by the divine.
And I think that's also in your own experience what happened, right? You knew that you needed a solution. And by doing the research, when you came to the right solution, your body knew and you knew, it just resonated with you. So to be open and listen to our bodies as well, because as you said earlier, everything is connected. It's not just one thing that we're looking at. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I will ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
One food you always recommend during a detox?
That would be one of the most powerful fruits on the planet, the grapes. Seeded black grapes.
Oh, fantastic. What is your favorite way to start your morning?
My favorite way to start my morning is always rising before everyone else to really have a couple of minutes to myself to rewire my brain with either a meditation or a breath work, to have a little bit of time for myself. So I'm fully charged for the day with all that is coming throughout the day. And eventually, and ideally, if depending on the season of the year, for me, the most crucial thing is to get daylight into my eye when I wake up in the morning, because that activates so many systems in our body and brings back hormonal balance. If we just look at daylight or sun, if it's sunny or not, it doesn't really matter because both have full benefits. But if we look at daylight instead of the screen in the morning, it already is a huge, huge essential part of my morning, really.
Super. A healing tool or technique you can't live without.
Breath work for me has changed a lot of things as well for me in terms of anxiety levels and so much more, and clarity of mind and energy. Like a rapid breath work session can just rebalance so much in the body within seconds, really.
Absolutely. Breathwork is so powerful. Tea, matcha, or green smoothie?
Green smoothie.
What does healing mean to you?
Healing is getting back to the innate system we all carry in us. Healing is about remembering.
Excellent. What is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
Walking for me every single day is a non-negotiable, really, simply because our human species is designed to walk. That is the most natural movement our species can do. We are made for walking. And for me, walking is a non-negotiable.
Lovely. Well, thank you for playing along. It was not too difficult. Now I would like to ask you our signature green pill question. Could you share an inspiring or life-changing experience that you have gone through, your green pill moment?
Well, my green pill moment came when I realized that no one was coming to save me. I have tried it all. You always seek external validation if you're doing something right, if you're on the right path. You're seeking help from outside. That was what I was doing over the years, but that never happened. Nobody came, nobody saved me. It was something that I did myself. And that my body wasn't failing me and it was just protecting me. It wasn't broken. It was just communicating to me various things. So I had been bedridden for years, trying everything anyone ever suggested. And at some point, I stopped asking what's wrong with me and started asking questions like, what is my body trying to survive from? What is it trying to tell me? So when I shifted that curiosity instead of blame on everyone else, on the outside world, on every physician that could never help me, etc., or every person that affected me, instead of blame, something cracked open inside of me. Almost immediately after I discovered the work of Dr. Robert Morse, so I was already in that space. And for the first time, I heard someone speak about the body with reverence, with deep respect, honor, and awe. And as a wise system that knows what it's doing rather than something to control or fix, it's an intelligent system. Our bodies are so complex, yet so intelligent. When you start to study how the body works, it really gets so interesting and so deep. So that was the moment I unplugged from the illusion that healing comes from just fixing. And I stepped into the truth that healing comes from listening to your body, removing interference and giving life the space to just flow again. The flow of energy, the flow of life force.
Thank you so much for sharing that and sharing your journey with us. I love how you said, no one is coming to save me. So realizing that, and also, I think lots of us have said, why is my body failing me? What's going wrong? Instead of that negative, continuing to add those negative thoughts because the body is listening, rather stop doing that and start looking for what is the body telling me, because that is the start to the healing journey. Well, I love that. Thank you so much. Is there a question that I should have asked you that we've not covered yet that you'd like to tell our audience about?
I think everything was wonderfully covered with all the questions and really goes into the how I work and how I can guide everyone around me who is seeking help. And honestly, one of the things which I just would like to add in the end, everyone has the power to heal themselves. I am not the healer. I always say that. I just open the doorways for that person. And once the doorways are opened, you have your intelligent system already. You just need to create the right environment and walk through the door, and I'll just guide you and hold your hand through this whole experience.
Before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you to learn more about your coaching programs?
So everything pretty much is at this point of time on Regenerate with Joe on Instagram. I do have a lovely page out there which has a lot of information and is very detailed.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll also put a link to this in the show notes.
Perfect.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Matrix Green Pill podcast. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay inspired, stay well, and never stop believing in your body's wisdom.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.